I'm good. Happy New Year. Happy
Yeah.
Lunar New Year as well.
That's right. Happy Lunar New Year. Happy New Year. All of the good things. It's so great to see you again. It's been a minute. So I know we got time. We need to dive in today. Tell us about what unfortunately is vanishing. We have a lot of things to cover. I know you're going to tap a little bit more on some, but it looks like there's quite a bit out there that's shut down, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think I haven't talked to you since, or been on here since November, and unfortunately there's been a lot of closings over the past month and a lot of announcements of closings to come. So yeah, I thought I'd approach it a little bit differently this time by trying to group them together.
Yeah.
Because there's just been so many, especially with music and performance venues. There's been like 7 or 8 that have either closed since December or announced that they're going to be closing in the next couple months.
Wow.
So one that I'll talk about that closed in December is a place called Ronette's Psychedelic Sock Hop that was on Leary Way. And that was only open for less than a year, but it was owned by folks in the music industry, people in the community, and they hosted a lot of bands and live music, a lot of DJ nights, music across all genres, just a lot of different events. And I feel like even though it was kind of short-lived, it felt very supportive of the local arts and music scene and felt very old Seattle. It had a really popular like 60s dance night called Boots that drew a big crowd. So I know that, it does feel like there's a hole left in the music community after they left, and a lot of people are going to miss that spot, including myself. It was a good vibe. Yeah.
Well, I'll say, it's a tough one when you have a newer venue and people are just getting used to it, and then bam, it's already gone. That's it hits hard because honestly, people get excited about new venues when they open up. So that's unfortunate. I never even got to go to Ronette.
Yeah, it was kind of sudden. It seemed like a surprise, but hopefully, I don't know. Hopefully, those folks will start something up down the road. That's my hope, at least.
What else we got?
Yeah, so another spot I want to talk about is Hotel Albatross. That was on Market Street in kind of downtown Ballard. They were around for about 7 or 8 years, and this was another one that was pretty sudden, and it was kind of like a popular spot, especially for folks going out in Ballard. They booked a lot of local music. Again, DJ nights, drag bingo, karaoke, fundraisers, burlesque, like all sorts of different types of arts and performance. And they closed on New Year's Eve. And it was kind of a surprise to a lot of folks. And I think people were pretty heartbroken about the loss of that space.
Well, also too, when you think about spaces that can host those kinds of events, it's few and far between, honestly. And so, you end up developing a real specific crowd oftentimes that's looking for those kinds of events. And then it's like, oh man, we got to find a new place to, have these kinds of gatherings. It's unfortunate. And it's, good grief, Seattle. Can we just stop with the crazy rents? Because we know a lot of times that's the issue with these spaces. And unfortunately, when they don't get to announce beforehand to give people that kind of heads up, like, hey, yo, or come out and like celebrate all of our, years of opening and all the things that we've done in the community, it's like a huge loss. Man, it's sad to hear that they just kind of went really quickly like that.
Yeah, and I think especially like with venues that tend to be like smaller, mid-size, more accessible, like they do support a lot of local musicians and performers. And so they're supporting this local ecosystem that, everyone needs to get a start somewhere. Like maybe not everyone can start out and then play at Numos or play at Showbox or these other venues. So, and then, allowing for a lot of different types of performance or, type of music, I think is really another important part of just like supporting and nurturing the ecosystem. So when those type of venues go away, I think it does have an impact and a ripple effect just on like the overall health of our culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%.
And there's some other venues too. I'm just to kind of like name them quickly. The other ones that have closed or announced that they're closing soon. So Victory Lounge on East Lake closed New Year's Eve. I think I talked about them last time I was here. They in some form have been around for 25 years. and lost their space because of basically being displaced by development. Cafe Nordo in Pioneer Square, also a performance space, closed in December. And their building's up for sale, but they're also having to look for a space to accommodate bigger crowds. So hopefully they'll be able to find a new place and reopen at some point. Drunkies and White Center's likely closing at the end of the month. They've always put on shows as well. Bar House in Fremont, they're losing their downstairs space where they've had shows, so we'll no longer be able to put on live music. The Kraken on the Ave, long time kind of punk mainstay. Their building got bought by a developer who wants them out. They're going to close in early March. And the Lo-Fi, which has been there for about 20 years and shares a building, shares a building with Victory and Black Lodge. They announced they're probably going to close in April, and that's also due to development. So
okay, well, let me just say this. Before Lo-Fi is closed, you and you've got to tell me when we can go to Lo-Fi.
All right, we're going to pick a night.
when I looked at the list today, Cindy, I said, oh man, not Lo-Fi. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm familiar with Lo-Fi. I'm going to go there. I remember they used to have some real specific like 90s hip hop nights. Snap. And like, it was a vibe in there. And not only that, the one thing I will say about spaces like this is that you go to a certain event and you end up running into people you haven't seen in such a long time, because like, okay, this music is drawing us all to come out and just vibe out. So okay, you and I, we've got to go before they close. I'm glad to know it's not all the way shut down yet, because that one touched me deeply.
Yeah, we have a bit of time. And again, like, they have so many different types of music nights. Like, they have the Snap 90s Dance Party. They have Sorted, like a Britpop night, which is having their very last one after like 18 years tonight. Wow. I think Emerald City Soul Club either got their start there or has, like, that's been their home for a long time. They had their last night, and they also have live music. Like, my band played there back in the day, so it's really a place where, and they also have when Rebar closed, they got a lot of the interior and the decorations and the furnishings and put it into Lo-Fi, so it has a bit of that Rebar vibe, and it's really impossible to replicate. And I mean, there's also been some music venues opening, which is great, like the Rabbit Box in Pike Place Market and the old Can space and the Patty Summers Cabaret space. They open in November, which is great, awesome and wonderful. But I think right now we're seeing like a net loss of music and arts venues, which is really heartbreaking, because I think that's just really the backbone of Seattle.
Yeah. And that kind of takes me to this next segment, which, for those of us who love pizza, so many millions of us who love pizza, my goodness, a lot of pizza shops have been closing. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, this was another, just because there's so many, it made sense to kind of group these together. But the one I'll focus on is the North Lake Tavern and Pizza House, because that's been around for about 70 years. Opened in 1953 by Evelyn and Herb Friedman, and it's now under the ownership of Abdullah, who's its third owner. And he started as a chef in 1981, and then for the past few years has been the owner and general manager. And he says that he's 70 years old. He's going to retire to take care of some health issues. But I mean, it's really, North Lake is one of these kind of iconic Seattle spaces, especially for, folks connected to UW or who live in the area. So students, alumni, families, athletes, a lot of people have been going there for their whole lives. So it's very intergenerational crowd, very kind of like throwback, old school, like pizza dive vibe, lots of neon beer signs, really cozy booths. The walls are covered with pizza-themed cartoons from David Horsey, who's a UW alum and a Pulitzer Prize-winning political cartoonist. And they're just also really known for their unique pizza. It's like thick crust, like weighs 6 pounds. It's more like a casserole with a crust. So I think a lot of folks are kind of heartbroken about that. Everyone's trying to go before they close. I mean, there's some good news to it. So Big Mario's, which is a local mini pizza chain, they're going to be taking over, and they said they're going to retain a lot of the memorabilia and the decor and the vibe, and offered to keep on the employees as well, one of whom has been there for 26 years. But they are bringing in their own pizza, which is New York thin crust style. So I know a lot of folks are going to miss that North Lake pizza, because I can't even think of any other place in Seattle that has that type of pizza. So if you can get in there before they close, and also happy retirement to Abdullah. They're going to have a big send-off party for him on January 31st, which is our last day.
Wow. Wow. I mean, 70 years, it would actually behoove Mario's to say, you know what, we're going to do at least one, classic. So people
Right.
understand like, hey, we are still connected to North Lake. I get it. It's a recipe thing and all of that, and they have their thing, but it would behoove them to say, in this space, we're going to maybe just have one maybe two options, right? Like,
I'm sure that make a lot of people happy.
Yeah. Okay. And it looks like there's some other spots in terms of pizza that are gone.
Yeah. So Spiro's in West Seattle, their original location, closed in December after 31 years. There's also Central Pizza in the Central District that after 10 years, it's closing on January 27th. And then Pizza Professionals, just down the street here in Pioneer Square. The owner, Mike, he's a character. He's known for like his pride and joy is his pizza, and he tells you it's going to change your life and that it's edible art, and it is. So yeah, he's going to be closing at the end of the month. So he seems like he's pretty bummed about it. Hopefully he'll find a way to reopen somewhere else in the future. But yeah, stop by and give him some love if you can.
Oh goodness. There's always so many things that we have to dive into that are like, oh, they're gut wrenching, heartbreaking,
sorry.
But that's okay. We get to end on a good note. What is still open that we can go and be a patron of their business? Come on, let's end with the light.
Yes. So to end on a bright spot, and this was a super popular one when I posted it. People have so much love for this place. It's La Palma Family Mexican Restaurant in Inner Bay, just 1 block south of the Ballard Bridge. That's been around since 1976, and it's owned and operated by Astrid and Pedro Perez. And it's pretty much feels like it's been unchanged for decades. You go in there and it's just, decorated all throughout with really colorful flower pots and parrots and palm trees and pictures of their like lifelong customers celebrating their birthday parties, just like covering the walls. They've got really delicious, like huge portions of Mexican American comfort food and plates. And they're especially known for their gigantic and quite strong margaritas. And they're so beloved that they've been immortalized in a song by local band Taco Cat called Meet Me at La Palma, where they sing the praises of these giant, strong margaritas. So maybe that's a place we can go pre-funk before we hit up lo-fi.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. Let's get some pre-funk. I just always appreciate you staying connected to these stories. And honestly, every time you're on, Cynthia, I think, wow, there's so many cool spots, and it's on us to go and check them out. Like, it's on us to help keep them alive. So thank you for always keeping your ear to the ground and for guiding us into the light at the end of that tunnel there of all the spaces that are closing. Of course, if folks want to catch up with Vanishing Seattle, look right there. Let them know how they find you and how they stay connected to all the stories you're bringing.
Yeah, so folks can find me at Vanishing Seattle on Instagram and Facebook, Vanishing 206 on Twitter, and vanishingseattle.org. And I welcome folks to message me, share their pictures and stories, share their information, because it really is a collaborative effort. I rely on everyone just, being aware of what's going on in their neighborhood and their community. So thank you, Trae, as always, for having me on and for, being so supportive of our collective Seattle community. And looking forward to also, hitting the town with you soon.
That's right. We're going to make it happen. La Palma, lo-fi, it's going down. Oh my goodness, you guys.